I'm super excited. When I get to share a room, a stage, a webinar with this guy, ooh, and you guys are
a sleeping bag when Bob and I cuddle virtually or in person.
That's right.
Real.
One thing, Ben, that I've come to learn about you, your organization, having been close to it for more than a decade, for having worked side by side with you for half a decade now, 5 years, is, and I say this with like the most sincerity and the most respect. Uh-oh. You're not super bright, right? And you admit that, like you try really hard, you take the action, you do the thing, right? But like, and you don't have magic pixie dust either, right? I think people might look at a business like yours, and you guys did 2,340 some odd transactions last year, and you're going to blow by that this year, and go, God, they got something I don't have, right? Or he's super smart, or and look, you're a smart guy, but one of the things that we talk about a lot around our world from every angle is we keep things simple so that we take action, right? And so today's webinar, as we were kind of kicking around this idea, was how can I simplify things down so I can just start going and taking action, right? Because a lot of your success is just predicated on, we have a plan, we point people at that plan, and they just start taking action. So 5 simple things that any agent can do for more deals. We'll probably end up hitting on more than 5. Why have you kind of created a life around yourself and attempted to simplify things?
I love that, Bob. God may not have given me brains, but he gave me height, a metabolism, and the ability to tan.
So you're 0 for 4? Is that what you're saying?
Wait a second. You know what I hate, Bob?
What's that?
I hate it when I don't take action. I hate it when I coach somebody and they don't take action. I hate it when people come to one of my classes and they don't take action. Action, I was thinking about this morning, right? Our results are in direct relation to our effort. And we try to think of all these other things that we can do all the time to fix where we're at in our life, whether it's our finances or our health or our business or whatever that might be. But at the end of the day, when we're struggling, it's because our effort is not there, or we're putting our efforts into the wrong things. And one of the reasons that happens is we come up with really complicated things that we need to implement, or really complicated systems or technology or big list of shit that needs to get done. And because of that, we never actually get started. But I'm a get started type of guy, right? I like to make bold moves and move fast and go out there and try to get results, because I don't have time for it not to. And the best way to do that, as you pointed out, Bob, is to just simplify things. Just to simplify things.
It allows you, like you said, you go out there and you build the big plan, but what ends up happening when you complicate it is you go, oh, well, shoot, I can't start because we don't have this part of the plan done, right? And so you just say, look, we kind of strip everything down to like, what can we do like right now? And we're always thinking about like, what can we do right now? So we've got some things that we're going to talk about today that really, I think anybody on this call could do right now. And one of those things is create leverage in your life, right? You don't do everything anymore. And you learned very early on that leverage was going to allow you to build a big life that you enjoyed, right? That you like got up every day and you weren't doing crap you hated doing. How have you kind of leveraged away the things you don't like?
Well, my entire success in business has been about my ability to hire and retain talent. And based on how much money I've had in the past, I've hired in-house people that sat next to me. I've hired college kids. I've used interns, and I've used virtual assistants, because the number one thing I care about, Bob, is increasing my hourly rate. Because if I can work on things that generate more money per hour, I can be more productive. I can move the organization forward. I can give people raises. I can give money away to charities. I can go do the fun things that I like to do and enjoy, right? Invest in my retirement and my future, increasing your hourly rate. So do me a favor. You're on the call today. Write down, I care about my hourly rate. Bob, we went and we launched a brand new company called Brivity VA. Tell us what Brivity VA does and the type of virtual assistance that somebody could get.
So Brivity VA, essentially what we do is you come to us and say, I need leverage in my business. And we decide, where do you want that leverage? And as you look at the slide there, there's some different types of a virtual assistant you can bring on. And some of these people can, I think, straddle different roles here, but we're basically saying, where do you need help? And then what we do is we go and we help you hire somebody. So you get to do some interviews, and then we go and take that person and we take them through a month of training where they come with our team and they learn how to use all of the tools that you're going to then kind of unleash them on, right? So if they're a transaction coordinator, we take them in and they get training all inside and out of how Brivity's transaction coordination systems work. And then we give you somebody that's trained on the product that you use, or some of you use. I mean, I guess they could have a Brivity VA if they weren't a Brivity client, but most of these people get trained in Brivity. We turn them over to the agent, and now they're ready to essentially start to learn your systems inside of the system Brivity that they already know and understand. So we're really excited. I mean, we're placing these people as fast as we can get them trained. There might even be a little bit of a wait list right now, Ben, but we're sourcing people and getting them brought in just as fast as we can. Super exciting. I don't know if we're up to all 25 of your expansion teams have one, but I talked to Kelly earlier. I know a bunch of our expansion teams are using Brivity VAs, and one of your expansion partners even said to me, like, I feel like I need to catch up on my understanding of the intricacies of Brivity because my VA knows more than me at this point. So they're really highly trained, and they come out the door kind of ready to go.
We were solving a problem that our agents weren't taking the time to use technology, and they were hired admin or virtual assistants and not training them how to do it. So I just took that away. I just said, hey, we'll train them and we'll coach them, and then we'll give them to you. If you need a listing manager, a pending manager, a telemarketer, ISA, just a regular admin, whatever you need, they can do those things for you. So let's carry on. If you guys want to come and experience what it's like to hire talent and find talent and retain talent, we're doing a live event in December 17th through 19th. We're using the proceeds to go to charity, but you'll get to experience me live for 3 days straight, where we dive into how to build your business at the highest level, how to hire, retain talent. And it's different. If you've taken a course like this before, it's different because this is all I do for a living. I interview people nonstop. I'm taking people through the process, and I'll take somebody live through the process in front of all you, so you can see what it's actually like from somebody who lives and breathes. How do you hire talent, retain talent? I hope you guys can come there. We'll go to bkleverage.com if you guys want to register and come out and spend a little bit of your holidays with me. We're doing a tour of our office. You guys get to come in, see my polar bear picture in the background, and hang around our new offices and see what we're up to. So I hope you guys get to come out here and join us. Only last other sales pitches. If you guys need a coach, make sure you go to forwardcoaching.com and request a free coaching consult. We'll dive into what your business needs, see if coaching is the right match for you. If it's not, no big deal. Bob, let's quit selling shit and let's start doing what we do best, which is just giving.
All right. So some of you guys have probably seen this before. And I always make this kind of quip. It's like, this is where all Ben's business comes from, right? Like all 25 of his locations, like this is where their business comes from. This is where 2,340 some odd transactions last year came from here. Now, when you put something like other, Ben, on something like this, you caught everything, right? But those other things for you guys, you know, that you do a little bit of radio advertising, you get agent referrals, right? So everybody's kind of got this bucket of other things that might vary from person to person. But the left-hand side of this pie, the sphere, work in your sphere. And we have a plan. We call it a CrossFit plan, right, for how we work our sphere. doing open houses, and then prospecting. And that means getting on the phone and calling people. We call this the job of the agents that join our organization, that they have a job to do. And if they do their job and they basically go out and show that they can do the hard work of real estate, and these things are all activities. Reaching out and talking to my spheres, that's activity that I take, right? Just going and setting up and doing open house, activities that I'm taking. Picking up the phone on our team, it's 150 dials a day, right, Ben? That's activity you're taking. When you show you can do the activity, you get to participate in the spoils of the business. That's what I would call them, the spoils of the business, right? Internet leads, things that the team pays for that I have to pay for, right? Listing leads, something we got because of, might have come from an internet lead or us doing our job before and working our sphere or prospecting, right? But they participate in the spoils of the business once they've learned how to do their job. Anybody today, Ben, and correct me if I'm wrong, like that left-hand side of the sphere, literally any agent today, I guess short of open houses, maybe needing a little bit of prep time, but like tomorrow, anybody could do any one of these things on the left-hand side, right?
Yeah, yeah. Even when your mom was doing open houses when she first started, she wasn't even doing them at her listings because she didn't have any listings.
Yeah.
And she wasn't even doing them at listings from her brokerage because her brokerage didn't have any listings there, right? So she was borrowing them from other brokerages and other agents and doing opens there so anybody could do it. But here's what I've learned. Bob and I have helped thousands of top agents switch over to Brivity. And one of the things we do for them is we import their database. And when we import their database, we see all their closings and we talk to them about where they're getting their actual business from. And here's the biggest thing. 80% of their expenses don't relate to 80% of their income. They're not investing their money where their deals actually come from. They're spending 80% of their expenses on Zillow leads and internet leads and other crap like that, when the vast majority of their business actually came from Sphere, past clients, referrals, open houses, prospecting, actually those activities. So what you'll find is you get to know Brivity, we built a system not for internet leads. It does that fine, but we built a system to allow you to work your sphere, do open houses and prospect. So today what we're going to do is we're going to dive into what are the simple things that we could do for each one of those areas that would have the biggest impact to your business and your life today. And as you have questions today, jump into the chat box and we'll try to answer them live. We love hearing that you guys are there. So type something into the chat box. We know you're there. Ask a question, engage with us, and we'll have a good time today.
I love it. Tanya's on it. She cares about her hourly rate. That's fantastic. All right, so I'll keep my eyes over here on this. Ben, so, all right, we have this concept when somebody comes into our world, that they come in with a sheet. Well, we give them like an Excel sheet. It's a Google Doc, right? But it's their sphere. And we make them fill it out. We make them have at least one piece of contact information on 200 people. So there's this idea that every single person listening on this call has a sphere, right? So if they do, which we can make the assumption they do, what would be that simple tactic that you would say, like, right now, go out and take this action on your sphere?
Well, it's a good time of year, Bob. If we were to start kind of go through a little list of things that we could do, it's a good time of year to relook at that spreadsheet and say, do I have everybody in there? And maybe you've never done this before. Maybe you've never actually worked your sphere. That's great. We'll talk about that too. But if you have, why don't we think about who do we miss? Who's not in there right now? Did you add your new doctor? Did you add your hair person? Did you add your neighbor? Did you make any new friends this year? Do you have any past clients that slipped that you didn't get in there? Let's make sure that everybody that you know that knows you by name is in this list so that you can import them into your CRM, whether it's our CRM or somebody else's, because that's the first step of working your sphere. First step. And then the second step is filling in the blanks. You fill in the blanks by saying, well, all I have is an email address for Gail. Let me send her an email and say, Gail, I lost your phone number. I was trying to call you today. What's the best way to reach you? Or, hey, Gail, I was thinking about sending you a Christmas card, and I realized I didn't have your mailing address. Then you go through to the next person. Hey, Shalise, I see that I have your email address, but I don't have your phone number. What's the best way to reach you? And you go through to each one of the different different people that are in your database, right? There's Tanya. Hey, I've never connected with you on social media. Which one of those things do you use? And you start filling in those blanks. Okay, step 2. Well, what's step 3? Step 3 is a fluffy one. A fluffy one is one that you guys will disregard, but it's the most important. Fluffy things like mindset. The mindset for me around Sphere is that every touch that I give to somebody is going to be like me opening up my wallet. What do I have in there today, Bob? I don't have any big bills in here. I got a 20. That's pretty good. Is every touch that I make today, bam, money flying everywhere. Every touch that I make today is going to be like me delivering a $20 bill to somebody. People don't like to bother people, but I've never set out in my business to ever bother anybody. I've set out with the mindset that I was going to deliver value in every conversation, in every interaction, right? Which means I'm very careful what I send my people. I don't spam people a big mass email to my database of junk, right? I'm not sending them recipes or crap emails that they don't want to read. You know they don't want to read it because you don't want to read it either. That's always a check it. Would I get value of that? No, right? The value that we get to people is we give them information about the market, actives, pendings, and solds, right? By sending market reports. We give them information about important things that have changed, like, hey, rates have gone up or rates have gone down. Or we give them information like, why don't you come and learn from this class that we're putting on, or come to this event that we're doing, or come join me at this nonprofit that I'm going to be at this weekend, or come donate clothing or food or jackets or whatever for whatever cause that you're thinking about, because people care about those sort of messages. Or it's 100% personal. It's sending that somebody a message that says, hey, Bob, I was on Facebook and I saw a picture of your new house, and I just want to congratulate you. Congratulations. Or I saw you got a new job or a new baby or whatever those things might be, right? And we're having a personal conversation. But that mindset is around, how do I deliver value in every conversation and every interaction? So if you email them, it better have value. If you call them, it better have value, right? If you send them a Facebook message, if you text them, if you're mailing them something, what is the value that you're giving them that's going to improve their day? It's going to improve their life, and it's going to remind them to think of you the next time they have a real estate related question.
So my head is immediately going to you're planning the year script, and you use that one. You know, you've used that for years, and our teams use it, and it's kind of coming up to that time of the year here in December, probably, where that's going to be a lot of kind of the focus of us calling into our sphere, or even into January. How do you square that idea of calling them with that planning the year script? And maybe you'll give that for everybody with that concept of value, right? Because I think there's maybe a little bit of a disconnect there, and people say, look, if I'm going to do the plan in the year script, but what's the value in that? Just forget it. I'm not going to do that. Can you square that one up for me?
Yeah. For all the agents on the call today, have you guys ever heard a script or seen a script written down and you thought to yourself, the sucker that wrote that script has obviously never sold real estate before, or literally has 0 friends? Because you wouldn't actually say that, right? If I have somebody walk up to me and say, oh, by the way, who do you know that I should know that would like to buy or sell real estate in the next 30 days? I'm just going to punch you in the throat. Because we don't talk that way, right? That's slimy. I'm not slimy. I shower. So what I think about is, how can I interact and be direct enough and ask for business and say something where it doesn't make me feel slimy? So I came up with my script is, what is your real estate related plans for the year? Hey, just out of curiosity, do you have any real estate related questions? Do you know anybody that has real estate related plans for the year? Do you know anybody that has real estate related questions? If you did, would you feel comfortable directing them to me? Would you feel confident that I would give them the right answer? Well, what is a real estate related plan? Well, you know, if somebody wanted to buy, sell, invest in real estate, or even if they're just curious about what their home value was or should they refinance or not, I'm a resource available to you and your friends and family and neighbors and the people you know. And I'm always going to make you look good if you refer me for a question as a resource. And you're having a real honest dialogue with people, right? And you're sounding authentic. You don't have to use my script. And if you're thinking to yourself, gosh, that real estate related plan script, that sounds like a real tool, I'd never use that. Great. Come up with your own. You always find that scripts sound worse when it comes out of your mouth than what the person actually hears when they're hearing it. Because I've used the real estate related plan scripts 1,000 times and it freaking works. I've used it in the grocery store with people that I've never met before. I used it on a guy who ran into me while I was walking my dog that I've never talked to before. I use it with my friends. I use it all the time. It's just a script that I keep in my pocket. A lot of people think they need 150 different scripts. What I think is you just need 4 or 5 that you can reuse and use in different ways all the time. And for me, that's a really gentle way to do it. So why do agents not use that script, Bob?
I mean, they would think there's no value there, right? When there actually is, you're providing a resource or letting them know that you can be that resource. So that would be one thing I'd say. They just, some of them are just scared to ask, right? Yeah. I mean, there is an ask in there, and I think there's this. They're scared. They're scared to ask.
Yeah, you know, Sean, let's pretend that we didn't ask our sphere if they had any real estate related plans, and because of that, they went and they used somebody else, and that somebody else didn't care about them as much as Sean cared about them, right? And because of that, they put their most valuable asset in the hands of somebody that doesn't care about them. So I used to redirect my mindset around, I really care about my sphere. And I know that nobody's going to take better care of a past client, a friend, or a family member than me. And therefore, I owe it to them to let them know that I have their back and I'm here if they ever need me. And I'll move mountains to make sure that they're protected. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Jacqueline says that they're afraid of being salesy. They make assumptions and assume that XYZ doesn't have any real estate related plans. Right? They can't afford it. They already bought a house with me. They just did something, blah, blah, blah last year. Yeah, those are great answers, Jacqueline. I would add, they don't practice it. They don't take the time to role play and say, hey, Bob, do you have any real estate related plans this year? And Bob says, well, what do you mean? Well, have you thought about making real estate an important part of your retirement plan? No, I've never thought about it. I got a 401k. Well, how's that working for you? Well, sometimes it's up and sometimes it's down. Well, how's your home working for you? It seems to always be up. And I say, yeah, I've never seen a home that my dad drove by 30 years ago that he says, I'm sure glad I didn't buy that 30 years ago. Yeah, real estate goes up over time, right? What would it be like if you made real estate a part of your retirement plan? I don't know, but we should get together and talk about it, right? We're just having real, honest conversations with people. Now, so that'd be number 4. After you get the mindset, then you got to get the words. Then what you got to do is you got to come up with, what's your plan for the year going to be? What are you going to do to touch your database and touch your sphere on a regular basis? That's where technology and CRMs and tools come into place, because they automate you and they give you leverage, just like a virtual assistant. And what they do is they increase your hourly rate. So here's our plan. It's very simple. We're going to call everybody we know once a month. Well, my people don't want to be bothered that often. Well, then they aren't really your people. Because I could think that the vast majority of people that I'd call my top 200, they would enjoy getting a phone call from me. They wouldn't enjoy getting a phone call from me if I was just calling to say, oh, who do you know that I should know that's interested in buying or selling real estate in the next 30 to 60 days? That's just taking. I'm walking into their wallet and I'm taking $20 and I'm sticking it back into my pocket, right? So first thing you do is you're going to call everybody once a month. Well, what are you going to talk about? You're going to talk about them. You're going to talk about them. You're going to get to know them. You're going to ask them how they're doing. You're going to ask them how their work is. You're going to ask them how they're home, right? How the kids, how's the dog, right? You're just going to have real conversations. I guarantee you they will bring up work with you. I make it a game. I try to make sure that I can get all my people to ask me about work, real estate, where I work, or the office. And the way I do that is I ask them about theirs. How's work? Right? How's business? How's the market? Number two, we're going to email everybody twice a month. Twice a month, in my opinion, should be market reports. You're setting up everybody in your database with a market report that tells them this is what's going on in their neighborhood. Because if you don't do that, what's going to happen is they're going to go to Zillow or Redfin or somewhere else to figure out what's going on in the market. Bob, it's like taking your wife and saying, hey, go out tonight. I got you these tickets to the speed dating event. Why don't you just go out and see if you could find somebody better looking, charming, smarter, richer, which is impossible because Bob's really
or super possible.
You wouldn't send your spouse out to find somebody else tonight, but you send your customers to Redfin and Zillow? Excuse me? We shouldn't do that shit, right? We need to own the relationship and own that we are the source of knowledge and information. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to mail them, M-A-I-L, we're going to mail them every month one piece of information. And I'm going to go back to that. Number four thing we're going to do is we're going to get face-to-face with them at least 3 times a year. And then the last one, we're going to do social media. We're going to touch them on social media once a month if they have it. A like, a comment, a Facebook message, a tweet, a whatever, a swipe, whatever you do on social, right? You're going to do that. Here's what I want to propose to you guys. Live an event-driven sphere business. If you say that once a quarter, I'm going to do this for my clients, then you know what you're mailing them, an invite to that. You know what you're sharing with them on social media. You even know what you're talking about on the phone. And those extra emails that you're going to send are going to be about inviting them to something or thanking them for coming. You see agents all over the nation right now that are giving away pumpkin pies. That's one thing that you could do, but you could come up with something that you did every single month or every single quarter where you invited people that delivered value. So create an event-driven business where you can get face-to-face, show them that you care about them, deliver value to them, get vendors and other people to pay for it, right? You don't have to do expensive, fancy things. I brought all my friends and family to the Rocky IV debut, or Rocky V, I don't remember. But I did dress up like Rocky. I had this Italian stallion robe, Bob, and boxing gloves, and I went running in. It was super fun, right? We do the outdoor cinema every Saturday night when we invite our database to come there on me and watch a movie in the park. We do the food truck rally. We do the pie giveaway. We do events all the time because I want them to know even more than I know real estate is that I care about them and their family. And it'll be the best $5 or $10 that you could ever spend is just by giving somebody a pie or a pumpkin or a watermelon or some hard-boiled eggs for Easter or to a class or a book or whatever it is. Build an event-driven business and get your 5 types of touches, call, email, mail, face-to-face, and social in on your database every month. You do that, you're going to win.
And like you said, we spend lots of our expenses aren't being spent on those people who are really driving our business. Like in this industry, Ben, 70% every year, right, of deals come from Sphere or referrals from our past clients or doing business with our past clients. And yet we spend the majority of our expenses on Zillow and our website and people we don't know, which I get, right? We want to expand that database, but man, those people in there, they can help you expand it.
It's because their mindset's broke, Bob, and they're not thinking about that they're going to deliver value. They're thinking about they don't want to bother people. They don't want to be seen as that person, right? and they just got to fix their mindset.
I'll give the Brivity plug. If you're not a Brivity user and you're looking at that kind of 1 month, once a month I call, twice a month I email, like once a month I send physical mail, 3 times a year I get face-to-face, and once a month I'm on social media connecting with them. Brivity will take care of the email piece, right? That market report we've never, in 20 years of doing this, Ben, we've never sent something that has the open rates and gets the engagement and the clicks like these market reports do. Like they're staggering, and it's just proof. Zillow's the proof that people want to know what's going on in their neighborhood, right? The fact Zillow's worth what it's worth and the eyeballs they get. So let's make sure they're doing that with you, with the market report. And everybody in our sphere, all of our past clients are getting those if you're a sphere, a past client of the Ben Kinney team.
Your sphere cares, and they're curious. If you don't believe me, go onto Facebook after this call and just type this into your Facebook and make this post. I was researching the market this weekend, and you might be surprised what your home is worth today. Message me to find out. I was researching the market this weekend, and you might be really surprised what your home is worth. Message me to find out. Make that post, and you'll see listing appointments come in automatically from people because they're curious about real estate. All right, Bob, let's talk about open houses. Give us a little bit of your insight into what makes open houses awesome, and what are some simple things that people could do to take open houses to the next level.
All right, so one of the simple concepts we talk about is kind of this 10x effort, right? We've got to get people coming to our open houses, and so we will do kind of that 10x effort, right? If you post it, once on Craigslist or once on Facebook, we post it 10 times. If you put out 3 signs directing people to your open house, we put out 30. Like, we do everything to drive interest and traffic. If you call 20 neighbors around that house, we call 200. Like, if you knock 20 doors, we knock 200. Like, we try to do everything at a really kind of compounded scale, right? So that we can get traffic. And it all starts with, people showing up. But an open house can be successful if one person shows up. I mean, you could take advantage of the time at that open house and have it be successful if nobody showed up. But if we get one person that shows up, right, we now have a chance to do what for our teams is, where did he go? Is he over there? Like, he's got this really crazy, these skulls and some different things. Like, is he playing with one of his skulls? Anyway, so as long as one person comes in, we've got an opportunity to find what our goal, which is one real buyer or one real seller out of every open house that people attend from us. And so, just that 10x effort on the front side to get people in the door. Once they're there, we've got a couple of things that we do that I don't think are unique in the industry necessarily, but they're simple and we do them like clockwork, okay? The first thing would be we've got a way for people to sign in that immediately brings them into our database and gets certain things kind of happening automatically, right? More of that leverage, that technology creating leverage in your business. So we don't use a paper sign-in sheet. We use iPads or Kindles, or you could even use your laptop. And we use the open house tool that Brivity allows people to register. So somebody comes in, we have a script. Our agents will use a script. So I'll be my mom, who, by the way, did 26 open houses in the month of December of 2016, which was her third month in real estate. In 2017, Gail would close 79 transactions her first year. Those 26 open houses, you guys, led to 17 real buyers and sellers for her, 13 of which would pend in January or February of 2017. She just crushed open houses that month. But here's the script when somebody comes in. It's basically, hey, I'm Gail Smith. Thanks for coming into open house. Listen, people come in for one of two reasons. They're either trying to find that perfect property, they're a buyer, or maybe they live in the area and they're interested in what their own home might be worth. Which one are you? And that's the script that we use when they walk in the door. So we want to know, are they a buyer? right? They're a potential buyer, or they live in the neighborhood and they're a potential seller and kind of curious what the neighbors are listed at or what their house looks like on the inside. From there, right into the seller's ask that we have everybody check in. So, you know, for safety reasons, right? For whatever you want to say, but that we make them check in. So when that happens, they check in on our iPad, and we put them on these nice little stands. You know, you can get one for $40 on Amazon, right? A stand right at the front door, so it's professionally presented. They check in immediately. They're into our database. They're not on a piece of paper that like ends up under your seat in the car. Or 5 days later, you're like, crap, did I put those people into Brivity, right? They're in there automatically. From that point, they start to get listing alerts sent to them with properties that were similar to the property they came into. So if they came into one of Ben's open houses in Bellingham on a $300,000 listing, they're going to start getting sent listings in Bellingham kind of in a price bracket around $300,000. Then if you're really kind of on the ball, and many of our Brivity users are, you might have an auto plan set up, a plan that will actually apply to those open house visitors that will start to communicate with them at some frequency after they've left. And so, you know, our plan's like 2 hours after they've come into our open house, automatically without that agent doing anything. In fact, they're probably cleaning up from the open house, or maybe they're running over to Starbucks to meet one of the people that came into the open house, because we ask everybody on the way out if they'd like to make an offer on the house. And if they say no, because a lot of them will laugh at that, but you know, we'll say, hey, when can you get together then to talk about what your buying needs are? So the people that have come in there, though, 2 hours later, they got the first text message from us, and it says, hey, thanks for dropping by our open house today. Tell me, after a little bit of time to think about it, did you want to make an offer, right? And then 7 minutes later, another text will go out that says, what's next week look like for you? We'd love to get together and talk about how we help you find that perfect home. And an hour later, if they don't respond, we send another text, and the next day there's a text, and the next day there's an email. And so we've got these plans kind of set out. They come in, they register on the Brivity open house, they're into our CRM, the CRM leverage, we start to drip on them, we start to talk to them. I mean, it's one of these things where as long as, you know, your agent, you can like reply when somebody says something to you, Brivity puts you in a really good position out of your open houses to have that communication start, to be following up with that lead. We see all the time, Ben, where like, when people don't use a leverage like this, right, technology, I go into a lot of CRMs, and I'll see all these open house leads. I'll see leads where they call them hot. They're like, I got a hot open house lead. And I'm like, awesome. What are you doing? And they haven't done anything, right? Like they don't have any listing alerts going out to them. They kind of forget about it, right? And so just having a strategy where you can get in front of real buyers and sellers, people that, somebody coming out to open houses is not somebody that went on your website today and is 9 months from making a decision, right? I mean, those people, like I said with my mom, 17 of those people she met in December of 2016 became a buyer or a seller in January and February, 13 of those 17. So, I mean, this is, Ben, you used to do this in the beginning of your career, right? You just go out and kind of create open houses by sitting out in front of newly listed houses. But like this idea of meeting people in houses because they're out looking at houses gets us closer to the bottom of the funnel, right? It's not complicated. It just takes a lot of effort.
Well, what I hear Bob saying is there's 3 ways that you succeed at open houses. Number 1, you do the work up front to make sure a lot of people show up to them. Number 2, while they're there, you use the right words to engage with them by using like our open house script. There's 2 reasons why people come into our open houses, right? That one. And then number 3, the follow-up matters. And if you aren't willing to do all 3, what you're going to do is you're going to say, well, open houses don't work in my market. Open houses aren't good. No, what you're really saying is, I don't do them right, or I don't follow up with those leads. And I see that all the time. I had an agent the other day, great agent, said, I did 20 open houses in 1 month. I said, great. How much business do you get? She said, well, I didn't really get any business from it. And I said, what was your follow-up like? She's like, well, I didn't really follow up with them. I'm like, oh. What they're saying is saying this isn't the type of agent that I would want to work with, because this agent isn't doing the work to earn my business. They aren't following up with me. What do I think? Why do I think they would follow up trying to work that hard to actually find me a property? So you got to do all three. What I was doing when I was walking back there, Bob, I was looking for a book called Building Your Brand Story. It was a book that Matt Fedek recommended to me. But I think about all the time that agents do like crappy marketing. Agents love two types of marketing, where they only show the details of the house, and when they talk a lot about themselves, none of which is interesting. Building the brand story reminds me of, why don't you tell them something interesting about the house? Why don't you do some research about the neighborhood or the city or the town or the history or this particular day, and just say, you know, I'm going to be at this home today. It's on 1234 Elm Street, and you're welcome to swing by and see me, but that isn't why I'm on Facebook doing this live video right now. I want to tell you a story about Elm Street. Back in the day, there was a nightmare on Elm Street. And the nightmare on Elm Street, right? And you tell a story about something historical that happened in that area, some guy with long fingernail cloth, and you guys know what I'm saying. But you tell a story. Or did you know that the very first home built in this area was built in 1784? That it was built by a gentleman who worked his way all the way across the United States. He was originally born in France, and he came to the U.S. and he ended up in Bellingham, and he built this home. And he opened the very first grocery store. And it wasn't big, but he sold groceries. And you just tell a story about the area, and it becomes interesting. Because there's a 99% chance that they don't want that particular house, but they will still listen to you. And those sort of stories sell. And they get engagement. So I want you guys to think about, how can you turn your marketing into a story that's interesting and that delivers value. So let's talk about prospecting, Bob. Prospecting is simple. Prospecting says, I'm going to take my destiny into my own hands by doing the work, putting in the effort to get the result that I need, which for me was an appointment. So I set out a goal to work 20 days a month very early in my real estate career, Bob. And what I did is I said, if I got an appointment with a buyer or seller, right, a brand new appointment, on that day, I would consider it a work day, which means on average, my goal was to schedule 5 appointments a week. So at the end of the month, I would have 20 new appointments. As I focused on that, it led to me closing 26 homes in my first full year, 84 in my second year, and 143 in my third, because a lot of the people that I met with on the first year didn't do business with me until the second. Back in the day, because I'm super old now, you know, that was 15, 16 years ago, Bob, I didn't have a CRM. That's back when they had Top Producer. Top Producer is what I call the cream of the crop. It's like the best of the worst CRMs that were out during that time, you know? But it didn't do what we needed today. If I would have had the tools that I have today, the ability to send out a text message, to automatically make the call, to send out emails, listing alerts, market reports, it would have been way different. It wouldn't have taken me 3 years to turn 2 appointments into 150 transactions. I would have got that done like Gail did her first year. She did 79 transactions, right? I would have got it done much faster because technology was the leverage. So prospecting is about, how do you go out and get that new appointment that you need today? If you can't get it from your sphere and you didn't get it from your open house, take your destiny and do it yourself. So how'd I do it? Every day I would take a stack of pennies and I would put a whole bunch of pennies on one side of my desk. Or if I was traveling, I put them in my left pocket. And every time I made a phone call, I would move a penny over to the other side of the desk, or I would move a penny over to my other pocket. And when I got through moving all the pennies over, I would know that on average, I would have got an appointment. For me, it was 52 pennies moved, got me on average 1 appointment. So my goal was to always just move 52 pennies over, and 52 pennies was 52 dials that led to 12 to 15 conversations that I knew would give me one appointment. And the first year, it took me 2 or 3 hours. By the second or third year, I would get through those 52 dials in an hour. And the reason was, Bob, I used to do a bunch of research about who I was going to call. I used to look at their home and I look at the notes and I would just do all this stuff. I was basically procrastinating. And I was doing all this research on 52 people, of which 40 of them never answered the phone. And I wasted 80% of my time. So after a while, I just got over and said, it doesn't really matter. I'll look up their stuff once I get them on the phone. I just stopped researching them and I just called them, because I don't need to know that if they aren't going to pick up the phone. Right? And you say the same thing to them. Hey, I saw that you recently had your home on the market. And for whatever reason, it had resisted sale in the past. From my experience, is one of three things. Number one, it was priced wrong. Number two, it was marketed incorrectly. Or number three, it doesn't show well. And I can see from the pictures that you have a beautiful property and a beautiful home. So it has to be, it was priced wrong or it wasn't marketed right. Which one do you think it was that led to your home resisting sale for nearly 6 months? Every single person said, what, Bob?
It was marketed horribly. That last agent, they screwed me.
That's exactly why I was calling. And that's exactly why we need to get together. Would you be around today, or is tomorrow better for us to connect and talk about our marketing plan that's led to X amount of sales in the last 12 months? Now, I knew that half the time or more it was price, but marketing was the thing that I could control. Marketing was the thing that I could show them that I was different. So I made my entire listing presentation about that. And it didn't matter what their home was or where it was or how long it was on the market. I knew that their home resisted sale. I knew that they had tried to sell it in the past or were trying to sell it currently if it was a FSBO. It didn't matter. And I was willing to have a conversation about how I could help them sell their property for more money in lease time. When can we get together? Is today better, or would tomorrow work? And that was it. One appointment a day, Bob. Canceled expireds, FSBOs, circle prospecting, just listed, just solds. It doesn't matter. Whatever you enjoy and whatever works for your market, how do you take control? If you don't have enough business coming from your sphere or coming from opens or door knocking, how do you take control and get to be setting one new appointment a day? On the days I didn't set an appointment in the morning, Bob, guess what I did in the afternoon?
Called more.
Well, I didn't do what my agents do, which is go to the gym and go home and go to lunch and take the rest of the day off. No, I freaking went back in there and I called till I got my appointment, because I didn't call it a work day unless I got 5 appointments that week, or 1 appointment for each day, right?
Can you, real quick before we shift gears, can you just take, like, as you're telling that story and you're doing these scripts that, you don't do these every day anymore, but obviously they're internalized. And I think about this, like 10,000 hours to mastery. And that's, you're well beyond 10,000 hours to mastery. Where does somebody start here? Is it just find a partner and run those scripts off a partner? Is it like, I know you started by doing it all by yourself, like in your office, and then a couple people started showing up. And then where do they start with kind of mastering that script or that whatever I'm going to say when I circle prospect?
Yeah,
like
you role play it. You say it out loud by yourself. You listen to tapes on it. I'd be driving to a listing presentation and I'd be saying my scripts while I drive, or listen to somebody else's scripts on a CD, right? And then doing affirmations. I'd be walking into the listing presentation saying, I'm the best at what I do. Nobody knows this market better than me, right? Nobody has a better marketing plan than me. I'm the best at what I do. And I would say that because I used to get really nervous when I walked into a listing presentation. So I would say that to control my heartbeat and to control me being nervous and to give me confidence. But I'd also be role playing. Well, there's 3 reasons why a property will or will not sell. Number 1 is how it's priced. Number 2 is how it's marketed. Number 3 is how it shows. And I had those scripts down so well that I walked in and I was super confident. You could take the listing presentation, PowerPoint or marketing materials away from me and I would still be able to do it because I had memorized it and mastered it. Now, you never you never memorize and master things that you don't actually practice. That's why you'll see a big difference if you come to career visioning with me in December. You'll see that I've actually done the interviews. I've actually done the recruiting. I've actually done the calls. I've done the retention. You'll tell from the words that I use and the interactions and how I talk to the people. You'll say, oh, he's done this one before. That's what makes the class so much more valuable is I'm not a teacher. I'm a doer. I just enjoy sharing what I do.
One of your agents is on the call here, Gail, who happens to also be my mom and is the lady that did 79 transactions her first year in real estate. And she just wrote, practice, practice, practice. And I mean, your success hasn't been a mistake, right? It's been intentional and just a lot of effort, a lot of hard work. I agree, Brianna. Gail is a boss. Anybody that does 79 transactions their first year is a boss in my book.
Let's talk about internet marketing. But you guys may not know this, but Bob and I have known each other for a long time. It's been over 10 years, I think, Bob. And we spent an entire year and a half traveling around to 37 cities, teaching for 8 hours a day and doing webinars and everything else. And Bob and I taught internet marketing. And internet marketing used to be this mystery. It was like a secret of SEO and a secret of blogging and Craigslist post and how do you beat all these things. And it's really changed. Internet marketing is simple. Today, what happens is that Redfin, Zillow, right, all these other places, all they do is they take your money, they spend them on Google and Facebook, and then they resell you those leads back for a lot more money or for a gigantic referral fee, or they just steal the entire transaction from you. You don't need to get a master's degree in these subjects. You have to have somebody manage a pay-per-click budget or a Facebook budget for you and send them to a tool that captures those people and turns them into a lead. The tools that Bob and I use are home valuation websites, IDX websites that allows them to see a property, then it forces them to register on the second or third property, right? And all those people get funneled into a CRM, and then Bob and I do the lead conversion, which we'll talk about on our next slide. Internet marketing is simple. It's about managing your cost per lead, advertising it in a geographically specific area so that you aren't overpaying and you get quality leads for what you want, and then all the money is made in the follow-up. What would you add to that, Bob?
So I just had this conversation on Monday with an agent who was doing his own PPC marketing, and I said to him, I'm like, Ryan, you are a FSBO. And he's like, what? And I'm like, you're not an expert in internet marketing. You're spending your time, which could very well be spent doing income producing activities, right? Which maybe this is, but you're spending your time trying to learn something that should really be handled by somebody that's all they do. And not only that, you're competing against people that's literally all they do. So we have our Brevity leads team, right? Grant, and he's got a team of people. All they do all day long is optimize, build, find new ways to help you generate leads with that marketing dollar that you have. This Ryan, he was trying to do that himself. He was a FSBO, right? So like, if you don't encourage people to go out and FSBO and sell their house on their own, why would you try to go and kind of play in this, even if you like it, right? Even if you're like, oh, I like doing the Google ads, right? Like, do you like managing it, tweaking it, staying on top of it? Like, is that what you really want to do? Then like, make that your job on your team and get somebody else to be the listing agent or the person that like calls and converts these things, right? So I guess what I would add is like, if you're doing this on your own today, you're getting beat by people that are experts and you're essentially a FSBO.
That's a really funny comment, Bob. I never thought of it that way, but it reminds me of the agents to be like, yeah, I built my own website. And I thought, well, that's cool. But then I started thinking, no, you know why they did that, Bob? Is because they didn't want to actually go out and make the phone calls. And they were trying to justify their time they spent at work instead of going out there and actually making income. And you see people all the time that spend their time preparing, like, I need to get my listing presentation perfect, and then I'm going to go take some listings. No, trust me, you do not need a freaking listing presentation if you have no listing appointments. I need to learn how to write an offer. No, trust me, you do not need to learn how to write an offer until you have somebody that wants to write an offer. You're picking the wrong domino, right? Trust me, if you get somebody who wants to write an offer, you can call somebody and find somebody that will jump in there and be like, oh, I'll help you do it. You know what I mean? Internet marketing's simple. So if you could do anything, let's give you a quick tip. We want you to run ads to home valuation websites so that you can generate seller leads and listings for the new year and for the spring. We want you to run pay-per-click and Facebook ads to generate buyer leads to subsidize your business, not to feed your business. I want 80% of your business to come from open houses, spheres, prospecting, agent referrals, leads from your listings, right? Not internet leads. Because if you are, you're stepping over the dollars to pick up the dimes. Any agent, whether you're on a team or on your own, you need to understand that if you need to do the left side of the pie first before you do the right, because that's the bread and butter. That's the bread and butter. The internet leads are just subsidizing and growing your sphere and your past clients for the future. So talk about lead conversion, Bob.
All right, so for us, lead conversion is all about how fast we can get to something, and then how consistent can we stay over a long period of time. And so we use the Ben Kinney 10 Days of Pain, and it's kind of a baseline for us, and then we adjust it based on, you know, the where that lead came from. So we've got a 10 Days of Pain that's geared around leads that come from our website. We've got a 10 Days of Pain that's geared around leads that come from Zillow or Realtor.com. And so we just take kind of the basics, and then we just copy it and we make some tweaks, right? Where we would have said, hey, you're on our website. We say, hey, we're the preferred agent with Zillow, right? We'll take that same plan though, and we'll apply it when we have like leads from our signs, right? We have a thing called Quickly. And when we get a Quickly lead, it's a version of the 10 Days of Pain. Now it's all focused on texting. There's no emails because we don't have emails when we get that type of a lead. We have an open house lead, right? That first day, the wording might be a little bit different, but all those subsequent days, the content that happened, you know, the emails that go, the texts that go, it's all very geared around what value does the Ben Kinney team provide, right? If you're going to end up working with us, what is that value? And we've just created these plans that fire automatically. So in our world, if a lead comes in, every single lead, every single one is going to get at the minimum a text message 4 minutes after they signed up. Doesn't matter where they signed up, on our website, on Zillow, on Realtor.com. They were at an open house, right? Open house, we'll give them 2 hours before the first text. But any of those other people, in the first 4 minutes, they're going to get a text. And then the way that Brivity works, we're not the only system, right? There's other ones that, but then a couple minutes later, if they don't respond to that first text, they get another one. So the first text always addresses their inquiry, right? Hey, we saw you were on our website. You know, are you looking to buy a house, or maybe you're trying to figure out what your own house is worth? Right? Question mark. 5 to 7 minutes later, a follow-up text, and we just ask an ancillary ask or offer, right? Something related to that first query. So tell us a little bit about what neighborhood you're looking in, right? Or if it's somebody that texted in about our listing from Quickly, the second thing might be, would you guys like to set up a tour of the inside of that house? Then we send guilt. About an hour later, we wait an hour. We let those first two texts kind of marinate out there. An hour later, we guilt them. We basically say, hey, I hope I don't have the wrong number. You were on Zillow earlier. You were on our website earlier. You did drive by and text about our property earlier. We get a massive amount of response out of that. People go, oh, yeah, no, yeah, it was me. I'm at work. I wasn't even supposed to be on the computer. Like, I'll call you later, right? There's a whole series of things. And, you know, Ben, I think all told, the 10 Days of Pain, the new one that you and Jolene and I kind of crafted earlier this year, it has 22, if the agent makes the 4 calls that are in there, there's 22 contact attempts in the first like 12 days. So I know it's called the 10 Days of Pain. We stretched it a little bit, made it even more painful for everybody. But it's all about those, just, does it happen fast? Does it happen consistently over a long period, right? And then does the agent get in there and call? When those things happen, like, you'll be shocked at how your lead conversion goes up. Ben, how many times have you heard like, oh, these leads are no good, right? Or these leads stink, or like every single time we hear that, it's simply a function of you don't have the processes in place. Maybe you don't have some proper expectations, right? But you don't have proper expectations. You don't have processes in place, and then you're not doing the activity. Ben, almost every time we've heard this, and you've heard this from your people, right? We just make them, we force them to go in and call 100 of them, right? Like if you think they suck or somebody's telling you they suck, just go call 100 of them, right? Right now, go call 100 of them. And what we always find is what?
Yeah, there's gold. There's diamonds in their own backyard. They're just leaving $10,000 paychecks sitting in their CRM, and the owners of the teams are sitting back and they're believing the bullshit their agents tell them. The leads aren't very good. These leads are better than those leads. Anytime a consumer takes the time to register on a website and provides at least one valid way to contact them, it's a $10,000 check in my mind. It's not a waste of money. The problem is, when your mindset says it's not good, you treat it like it's not good. If your mindset says at the end of this phone call, there's a $10,000 check, I'd freaking jump out of this window naked right now for $10,000, Bob. And I've always had that mindset that I'm hungry and that I would do that.
Nobody leave a check for 10 grand outside the window of Ben's office. Please, God, like, just don't do that.
Yeah, nobody wants the body by Haagen-Dazs running up the Bell and hit the sidewalks naked. Lead conversion is about speed of response, quality of communication, attempting to communicate in multiple manners, text, call, email, social media, right? And having smart conversations. When you send a mass email to a bunch of internet leads and say, hey, are you still looking for a house? That's a dumb conversation. When you send a message that says, hey, I saw that you looked at 1234 Main Street. Would you be interested in seeing the inside of it? I'm going to be out in the area. Right? I saw that you calculated a value on your home. You actually might be surprised what your home's worth today. Would you like to get a more accurate estimate of what your home would sell for or what your home is worth today? Would you by chance be interested in a good deal? I love that question, because anybody that says no is stupid, and I don't work with stupid people, so it's really focused on an intelligence test. Bob, would you by chance be interested in a good deal? Well, yeah, I think so. I'm talking about like a foreclosure, a bank-owned, a distressed seller, a property that's going to sell well under the market. Well, yeah, I'd be interested in that. And what that does, it allows you to create motivation and convert a lead, and you aren't just sending out spammy crap. You're treating every lead as a $10,000 paycheck, a $10,000 paycheck. Bob, we got a Black Friday special coming up if you're a Brevity customer. Tell us what people get.
Oh, they get all sorts of good stuff. So we have this brand new. So if you get started as a Brevity client today, we've got this. We call it Top Brand, and it's a new ad campaign that we're running where we basically make sure that if somebody goes out on the internet to find you, they don't end up on Zillow or Realtor.com or those people don't get kind of siphoned off on the side. And so we've created. It's called Top Brand. They're going to get that. And they get it set up for them and get the first month for free. We've got some really cool Josiah. I haven't seen them. We've been working on these things for a while. Josiah showed them to me about an hour ago, or I guess it's been 2 hours now. Some new premium website layouts that people are paying pretty good money for right now. We're going to give you a chance to participate in those premium layouts for free. We've got some new kind of agent profile pages that are pretty sweet looking and really kind of, especially if you're a team owner, right? Give your agents kind of value for being a part of the team and a really great way to kind of showcase them as part of the team. We're going to give you that. And then somebody asked earlier about scripts, but if you get signed up for Brevity on our Black Friday special, there's 80 scripts and you can listen to them or you can read them waiting for you. Demo.brevity.com. If you're not a current Brevity user, go and check out demo.brivity.com. You can get on there with one of our people and ask any questions you might have. Go. I think they've been passing this link out to you here. Ben is doing it in the sweet. We just signed another listing from our Brivity lead. We have pending 5. We sucked at lead conversion before, and we're finally getting it. You're not the only one, right? Like, it's just a process.
I know you guys like saving money. If you want to save some money and get a VA or bring on a coach or get the Brivity platform, between now and Cyber Monday, we'll be having lots of deals. I hope you guys go to Brivity and check all those things out. I don't like selling shit. I like seeing you guys. I hope you can come out to our CV event in December, and I hope you join us on more and more of these webinars. If you think this webinar was valuable, type your aha into the chat box. If you have any specific questions, Bob and I will answer a couple here for a minute. Otherwise, I hope you guys go and have an amazing Thanksgiving. We're thankful for you and appreciate you, and don't eat too much. Turkey makes you sleepy and all that other bullshit.
Leah says, how many people accuse you of spying when you mention that you know what they looked at on the website?
You know, Bob, I haven't had anybody complain about it. I've only had people say, no, that's okay. Or, you know, actually I wouldn't mind seeing the inside. Nobody in 16 years has said, that's weird or creepy. I did peek through somebody's bathroom window once. That got me in some trouble, but never telling people what I saw while they were looking online. It never became an issue.
Leah, and I've answered this question a number of times. Like you said, like, it's very rare that it happens. But if it did, you just, yep, we do that so that we can make sure that we're, in tune with what you guys are looking at. And I think the reality is, like, if they don't know that's kind of how things work today, you don't have to try to, like, convince them it's okay, right? Just say, hey, we do that so that we can know exactly what you're interested in, so that maybe we can tweak your search if we needed to, or it helps us just kind of collect feedback. Like, just sweep it to the side. And, the reality is that's probably kind of somebody that you don't want to work with anyway. I bet they have more issues than just if they think people are spying on them. Like, that's kind of weird. This is a really good one. Like, tell me the habit. What are some of the habits of a top producer, Ben? She wrote 100 deal a year producer, but, like, what are some of those top habits?
For me, Bob, it was focusing on the byproduct, the outcome, the lag measure, the appointments. Top producers focus on priorities, not busy stuff. They clearly understand what's going to move them forward, and they're okay if things don't work out. They're okay if they cause problems or things gets missed or there's a minor issue, because they know that the greater war is being won, even if a battle is lost. So I've had lots of those scenarios in my career where I feel like I screwed up or I let something down. But as long as I'm moving the entire world forward, it's always worked out. So you got to focus on the thing that's going to make the biggest difference to your life every single day. And I start off my day, Bob, with a blank piece of paper and a Sharpie where I write down what are my priorities today. Then I try to put them in order, and I try to work on them in that order whenever possible. And there's days that things come up. But in general, the highest producers have a better focus on priority. They put more effort into those priorities. They probably, at the end of the day, work less hours than the low producers do. They just don't spend their time on low producing, low dollar per hour activities.
I would say I just, like, having watched my mom over the last 3 years kind of build the business, like, and what some of her habits were. She's very intentional. So inside of her database, she's always plotting how a lead's going to turn into a transaction by making sure everybody has a next task, right? So, like, in her database, everybody has a next task, because otherwise she knows nothing's going to happen with those people if I don't have intention with them. They also make sure that, like, the systems they have are being leveraged and utilized. So Gail, we'll just keep using Gail, right? She's a Brivity user, so listing alerts are set up on everybody. Market reports are set up on everybody. When leads come in the door, they have a plan that's getting applied to them, so follow-ups happening automatically. So they take advantage of the systems that are there. And they sometimes that requires, like, slowing down to speed up, right? We slow down and make sure our version of the 10 days of pain is what we need it to be. And that might mean we spend a couple hours today tweaking it and getting it right. but now it goes into play and it goes out and it's covering everybody, right? We slowed down today to set it up so that we can speed up everything, on the other side of that. So I don't know. I mean, priority, sense of priority. What's the number one thing you could do today to move your business forward? And then, like, of all the shit you could be doing, which is a million things as a real estate agent, right? Did you accomplish that number one priority?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Paul, we'll have somebody reach out to you. We'll give you a call and we'll answer your question there for you. Everybody, we'll email out the entire content of the webinar. It'll get sent out here shortly when our team gets done with it. So if you missed part of it or if you had to jump off early, you guys will get all of it. Our gift to you. If you ever want more of my scripts or to see some of Bob's or mine's previous webinars or some of our leadership lessons, you can always go to youtube.com/Ben Kinney, subscribe, listen to some of those videos. Jack sent me a message yesterday from a teacher in Canada that was playing one of our leadership lessons to their college class, which is not even real estate related. So I hope you guys will get some value out of it. Thank you all for jumping on the call today. And Paul, we'll reach out to you today.
Gobble, gobble. You guys have an awesome Thanksgiving. Hope you enjoy all your friends and family. Ben, I love you, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
See you later, guys. Bye.